Hello, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Board of Education. Oops, every single time. Welcome to this meeting of the Board of Education of Glenbrook High School District 225. We'll start with the roll call, please.
Mr. Downing,
Present.
Mr. Gulaki,
Present.
Mrs. Hope,
Here.
Ms. Mullenbeck,
Here.
Mr. O'Hara,
Here.
Mr. Schein,
Present.
Dr. Steinberg,
Here.
7 members present.
First on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Dr. Gravel, have there been any changes to the agenda since it was posted?
There have been no changes.
In that case, could I please
I
have a
move.
motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
This evening, it is with deep sadness that we pause to remember and honor the life of Glenbrook South sophomore Lily Bova, who tragically passed away on March 28th. Lily was known as a deeply kind and caring person who always had a smile on her face. She loved her friends and family with her whole heart, and her bright, positive energy brought optimism wherever she went. Her kind-hearted nature will be sorely missed by everyone who had the privilege of knowing her. At this time, I invite us all to join together in a moment of silence to honor and remember Lily. Thank you. Dr. Gravel, will you give the superintendent's report, please?
Absolutely. First of all, I want to welcome everyone who is joining here, especially our students being recognized today, and a special thank you to their parents and any other family members who are able to join. To kick us off, I'd like to welcome up Mr. Tom Meadus, our athletic director at Glenbrook South, who would like to recognize some folks who might have some aquatic skills that we're going to learn all about. So gentlemen, if you'd like to come on up.
All right. Good evening, members of the board. I'm proud to share highlights from an outstanding performance by our boys swim and dive program at the IHSA state meet this year. This year's team demonstrated exceptional depth, determination, and competitive excellence at the highest level. Our relay teams contributed key performances throughout the meet, earning second place finishes in both the 200 medley relay and the 200 freestyle relay, and following that up with a 7th place finish in the 400 freestyle relay, which is a testament to our team's balance and strengths across events. Individually, our athletes delivered remarkable performances. Noah Chen placed 5th in the 200 individual medley, and earned a 2nd place finish in the 100 breaststroke. Evan Cornoyu secured 6th in the 50 freestyle and 4th in the 100 freestyle. Lucas Fernandez Geddes achieved a 3rd place finish in the 100 freestyle, and Taylor Isaac captured the state championship in diving, becoming the 21st state meet champion in school history. As a team, these efforts culminated in a 3rd place finish at the IHSA state meet, marking the 7th state trophy earned by the program in the last 20 years. An incredible accomplishment that places us among the top programs in Illinois, trailing only Hinsdale Central and some team over there out east a little bit in trophies during that span. Lastly, I'd also like to take a moment to recognize head coach Keith McDonald, who will be retiring at the end of this school year. Coach McDonald has led this program with integrity, passion, and a commitment to excellence. His impact on our student athletes and the culture of our program has been profound, and we are deeply grateful for his leadership and dedication over the years. He was also, as I was just informed by some parents, was named the Coach of the Year by the Illinois Swim and Dive Association.
And at this point, we're going to ask our gentleman to stay up here. We're going to welcome up some additional athletes. Dr. Jordan, are you ready?
Yes, good
All right.
evening. Now, I get the privilege, ladies, if you'll please stand. I get the privilege of introducing our girls gymnastics team. And before I get into our individual awards, I just really have to take a moment to share some highlights of our team. This team demonstrated outstanding strength and consistency, establishing itself as one of the top programs in Illinois. They won a variety of invitationals, went undefeated in dual meets, and captured the conference championship outright. They continued their success by winning at regionals as hosts and placing second at sectionals behind only Carmel, who finished second at the state meet. The season was concluded with a fifth place finish at the state finals, scoring 142.57, just narrowly missing a state trophy by 1.35 points. All of the success of the team, the two individuals I'm going to highlight in a moment, are due to the amazing leadership of head coach Steve Gale. And we're incredibly grateful for his oversight of these young ladies and all of the successes that wouldn't be possible without his guidance. So first, I'd like to honor Allie Meadis. Wave, Allie. Hi. We are proud to recognize and celebrate the outstanding achievements of Allie Meadis for her exceptional performance in gymnastics at the state level. Allie has had an extraordinary season, demonstrating consistency, skill, and composure across all events. She earned all conference honors on beam, bars, and floor, reflecting her all-around strength as a competitor. At the regional meet, Allie delivered a standout performance, placing third on vault, second on bars, third in beam, first on floor, and finishing first in the all-around competition. She continued her success at sectionals, where she placed first on bars, third in beam, and fourth in the all-around. And at the state level, competing amongst the best gymnasts in Illinois, Allie placed 10th on beam, 6th on bar, and earned an outstanding fourth place finish in the highly coveted all-around event. These results at the state meet reflect her elite status as one of the top gymnasts in Illinois. We commend Allie for her dedication, perseverance, and excellence, and we're proud to recognize her achievements. Let's give Allie a round of applause. And Anika, wait, hi. Okay, tonight we are proud to recognize and celebrate the outstanding accomplishments of Anika Troncoso. Did I do it right, or do you get to make fun of me? Annika, see, I told her she'd get to make fun of me. First of all, you have had a remarkable season. It has been marked also by great consistency, high resilience, and excellence in every level of her competition. Annika earned, did I do it right that time? Okay, great. Annika earned all conference honors on vault, beam, and in the all-around, establishing herself as one of the top performers in the conference. At the regional meet, she delivered an exceptional performance, placing first on vault, third in bars, second on floor, and second in all-around. She continued her strong momentum at sectionals, where she placed fourth on vault, second on beam, first on floor, and captured first place in all-around, demonstrating her ability to rise to the top when it mattered most. And at the state level, Annika competed with determination and grace amongst the best in Illinois, placing 5th on beam, 13 on vault, and 10th in all-around. We commend her for her outstanding achievements, her dedication to excellence, and her representation of Glenbrook South High School at the highest level of competition. Congratulations.
And we have one more recognition, and Megan. Hi, Megan. Megan's going to come and be recognized as one of our very skilled and talented athletic trainers.
And finally, I'd like to celebrate an outstanding achievement by a member of our athletic training staff. Every season that we have a kickoff for the fall, winter, and spring seasons, we are so fortunate and blessed to have all our trainers. By far, I say it, they're the best, not only in the state, but in the country. But for Megan, congratulations to Megan Ship, who has been named the 2026 Preceptor of the Year by the Great Lakes Athletics Trainers Association's Council for Early Career Athletic Trainers. Out of more than 6,000 athletic trainers across 6 states, Megan is being recognized as a leader in her field for work mentoring and developing future professionals. As a preceptor, Megan plays a vital role in shaping the next generation of athletic trainers, providing hands-on instructions, clinical guidance, and meaningful educational experiences. Our athletic training staff interns benefit tremendously from our expertise and commitment. And we are fortunate to have her as part of our school community. She was formally recognized for this achievement at the GLADA Annual Meeting and Symposium on March 12th, 2026.
Congratulations to all our Titans. We are so proud of you and all of your contributions, whether it is to all of our students or in your respective sports. Congrats.
At this time, all of our students and staff and parents, you have two choices. You are welcome to remain with us for a period of time where we'll go through a normal meeting. We're going to talk about policies, or you may leave at this time. It is totally up to you. It looks like we have some friends taking us up on the second option, so we'll give them a moment. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Tom. And we are grateful for that dedication.
So
May the
noted.
weather be with you.
I don't know, it's just, no, I can change. Connected, straightforward.
We know it's going to be really bad weather.
It's quite very well.
No, allow me to do it. I'm gonna see if I can connect here.
All right. While we are saying goodbye to some of our friends still, I just have two very brief updates. Just a reminder to all of our families, board members, students who are here, we have testing coming up on, I don't know, this small thing known as This Week on Wednesday and Thursday. Just a reminder, freshmen and sophomore students will take the pre-ACT, while juniors will take the ACT with optional science and writing components on Wednesday and Thursday. The majority of our students will be present just for one of those days, but students who might have accommodations, such as extended time, could be here for up to both days. Communication has gone out from both buildings, but the basic reminders always apply. When it comes to participating in testing, especially those assessments that can support college admissions, it's always important to take time the day before the test to relax, to sleep, and to make sure before you come to testing that you have a fully charged Chromebook, that you have all other necessary utensils and equipment, such as calculators, that are approved for the ACT. But most importantly, that you get a good breakfast before you come in. So thank you in advance to all of our families for supporting our students during that time. And we look forward to working through the annual state testing process this week. Just an extended shout out to Maddie and Laura, our testing coordinators, and also Dr. Vasilopoulos and Dr. Kim, our associate principals for teaching and learning, for all of their dedication to putting together these events. They are intense with a lot of logistics, and we're just so grateful for them. The second topic, completely different but very exciting, is our annual Night of Glenbrook Theater event that's put on by the Glenbrook Foundation. So not this weekend, but next weekend, we are celebrating the launch or the return of Cinderella. For board members who might not recall, Cinderella was the musical during the year we had the pandemic, and so it was not able to move forward. It's exciting to see it back right in the CPA. And we hope that community members and many others will join us for the Bibbidi Bobbidi, I just forgot, ball. I was going to call it the boutique, but I think that's technically at Disney. That is on the Saturday night at 5:00 p.m. We'll gather in the Glenbrook North cafeteria. There is a wonderful meal that has been coordinated by Quest. There'll be an opportunity to just mingle and meet with members of the production team, some of our student performers, but also community members who just have a true passion for Glenbrook Theater. It's one of those nights that you really don't want to miss, and tickets are available online for purchase from Curate, which is where we do all of our box office ticketing, and they are $60 a piece. So we look forward to seeing as many folks that can attend. Will be just wonderful. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Gravel. We will then move on to board reports, and we will have reports on a number of different meetings, and we'll start with the Glenbrook North Parent Association meetings. Was there a board member who wanted to report out from that? Someone is pointing at Mr. Glowacki, so I'm going to say Mr. Glowacki.
You know, the wonderful meeting as always and stuff, very engaged. There've been a few meetings, so I'm apologize if I don't have my detailed notes on what was covered during this one. But yeah, it was, they're excited about the plans with the fields and everything taking place and stuff.
Okay, great. I wanted to, well, Dr. Gravel and I both attended the Glenbrook Foundation meeting. Dr. Gravel did mention that we do have the Night of Glenbrook Theater coming up on the 25th, but the bulk of the meeting was spent discussing Glenbrook Fest, which the details have not been finalized yet. Still working through some of that, but that will be on Saturday, September 19th. There will be music, there will be food, venue to be determined, but put that on your calendar. It's going to be a lot of fun. I believe it's going to be an afternoon event. Is a Saturday, September 19th. So that's my just a little summary of the Glenbrook Foundation meeting. And then lastly, we just prior to this board meeting, we had a communications committee meeting. Would anyone like to report back from communications? Okay, Mr. O'Hara.
Sure, it was a good meeting. We went over, we're updating the websites for access for accessibility. Thank you. For accessibility for everybody to be able to use them. There's a federal mandate and we're making sure we can get not only the website, but also the mobile devices and other ways that you can access our information so that anybody can access it anywhere at any time. And then we talked about the potential for student engagement with the board and in different ways they can engage with us.
And I would just add a few notes for any board member who wasn't able to attend the communications committee. If you happen to visit the PD room, we had a group activity where we went through a wave of conversations in talking about ways we might be able to recruit students to share their voice in different topics. And then the other wave of conversation we had was on what topics might we want to present to students to gather their input on. And there are 4 very full pieces of chart paper. So if you walk past them and you want to review them, or if you want to add, there are still markers there and you're welcome to add stuff. And then we'll have a follow-up conversation at an upcoming communications committee.
Thank you, Dr. Gravel. It's come to the time in the evening when we recognize community visitors who would like to address the board. And I do not think that we have anyone doing that today, but that's okay. We have time for that on at every meeting. So please feel free to join us at the next meeting if there's something you'd like to share with us, where you can always reach us by email or voicemail. That brings us to our consent agenda. Dr. Gravel, have there been any changes to the consent agenda since it was circulated?
There have not been any changes, but I do want to call the board's attention to item 711. That is the staffing plan for the 2026 to 27 school year. The board previously approved a staffing plan at the last meeting in March. However, as we were going through and building out the personnel plan in our systems, we identified that one of the lines was listed, but there were no values in the line, and that was regarding our board certified behavior analyst or BCBA position. So we simply are representing it because it was missing, and we wanted to make sure that the board saw that. No changes from when we last spoke. We just realized the display issue and wanted to represent it to the board.
Did anyone have any questions or issues with the consent agenda? In that case, could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I second.
Mr. Downing,
Yes.
Mr. Glowacki,
Yes.
Mrs. Hope,
Yes.
Mr. O'Hara,
Yes.
Mr. Schein,
Yes.
Dr. Steinberg,
Yes.
Ms. Mullenbeck,
Yes.
7 members voting yes.
Moving on to our discussion action agenda. topic that is dear to my heart, the adoption of our AASB policy manual customization project. Dr. Johns, take it away.
And Dr. Johns, before you get started, we need to take an opportunity and talk about you for a moment. So that he can. So around August, I remember us sitting around a table with the policy committee, and we were talking about this concept that, our policy manual is an area of growth for us. There are many policies that have withstood the test of time since they were adopted and not changed since 1973, but some required some pretty substantial updating. And this has been a process that we've been going through for many years. And there was an interesting pivotal moment where it was acknowledged that maybe it was time to do a complete review of every policy in a systematic way. We engage with the Illinois Association of School Boards. They have a model for going through this because this is not unique to our district. And they walked us through each step. What I don't think we've talked about enough, and this is an absolute genuine comment, is the amount of work that was done by reviewing every single policy, line by line, verb and noun by noun, and making sure that before any recommendation was presented to the policy committee or a smaller working committee, that it was clear what we were looking at. And all of that work, through nearly 2,000 pages, was done by Charles. And so while I know what he's going to present in a moment is a very comprehensive, very pretty spreadsheet that's organized, that is simplified, I cannot understate the painstaking process and the diligence that he has put through looking at every single policy. And also how then we would all get together, and sometimes by the time you're through your 30th policy, you can't always stay on task. Yet he would get us back on task and keep us moving through. So before Charles shares anything, I just want to recognize the actual work that you will not take credit for publicly, that you're right next to me, so you hear me saying it and so you can absorb it. But just truly thank you for going through it. It has been a labor, but one that will set us up for years of success. And now I'll be quiet and turn it to you.
RJ, that was very nice of you. Thank you. I appreciate it. As you applaud me, please applaud everybody else who was a part of this team. We had every district administrator was part of this process. In many cases, these administrators and the building principals brought the policies back to their buildings for additional review and scrutiny and analysis and brought it back. I also want to thank board member Matt O'Hara and board president Mullenbach for their work. It really took a huge effort of so many people. We spent 22 hours in meetings together through this process, and I'm sure everyone put dozens of individual hours on top of that. I know at the schools, they went through everything very closely, leading to something I think we can be really proud of. We now know that we have scrutinized every policy that we have, and where I think that really helps us is in the depth of understanding we have of our policies that far exceeds what we had. We were not a district that was previously policy driven because we simply weren't equipped. We didn't have enough depth of knowledge throughout the organization, and we now certainly have that. This year, we also had our quadrennial ISB audit on all the mandates that we're required to meet. And thankfully, we had so many of these policies already in the hopper that we could just say, yes, we're covering this with this policy. There's 450 mandates that were a part of this compliance process. My guess is we'll be close to 600 or 700 in 4 years. So being on top of this is really going to help us. During the course of this process, it is almost a Sisyphean task in that I think in March, they brought us another 25 policies that we had to review in order to stay current because they do their updates every quarter and a whole new batch had come through. And we're not yet to dealing with the policies from last year's new legislation, where I think well over 400 new laws related to school districts and school operations were passed. So good luck in the future. Maybe I'll call in.
What do you mean, you're not staying?
Just give me a slop closet someplace and I'll keep operating.
Policy emeritus.
Policy emeritus. I did have a good time doing it. I learned a lot. I felt like I was making a contribution for the long haul for the district. One of the things the board members asked us to do is to make sure that we retain policies that were specific to us, that had meaning to us. And I know that everybody on the committee took that to heart for every policy we went through. There are times that we literally had to peel our fingers off of 225 policies that we liked. It was, and in order to adopt policies from press that I think were the ones we needed to adopt in the end. We did retain a large number, as you'll see in the next slide. Well, actually on this side, I'm sorry, RJ. On the slides, you'll see, our objectives and our why and the process we went through to go through all of this. Oh, and a typo. And we don't have any of those.
It's all null and void.
Yeah, all null and void. I'm gonna have to get back my teaching certificate. But we reviewed 296 policies. We retained 52 district policies. We adopted 146 press policies. And then in a pot of others, we sunset a large number of district policies, primarily because we had so many policies that we were able to consolidate. For example, I think we consolidated 7 or 8 discipline-related policies into one. So you could just go to one policy and find what you needed instead of having to go through so many. And we had a couple we wanted to defer, that the district is in a point right now that we're not ready, knowing what's happening in Springfield, what's happening in our field, that maybe if we wait 6 months or so, we'll be better equipped to answer a couple. I think it came to 4 different policies that we deferred. So it was a very good process. And on the next slide, just kind of I'll break out, if my vision can keep up, is that we just made minor changes in section 1. That's the school district organization. It's almost like the articles of incorporation documents that you'll see for a business. And those we made minor changes to. In section 2, bless you. In section 2, we made more changes and we were able to consolidate a number of different policies. Those are the policies that the board governs, the actual board actions themselves. Under a general school administration, we sunset a lot of extra policies. Some of these policies were over 20 years old and were no longer valid. And we were able to either move them off our policy manual or put them into our policy guidebooks and different manuals and guidebooks that we use. Under operational services, we had a large number that we had recently rewritten, maybe within the past 4 years. And you'll see in chapter 4 or section 4, that's where we had the largest number of policies that we retained. And under personnel, if you'll recall, we just had so many policies related to benefits, and we're cleaning that up and putting it into an employee guidebook, which is something I think I know Dr. Gravel's worked very hard on in the past 8 months, and I think it will be really a godsend for this district to have a very readable document for people to go to better understand, in particular, the benefit packages that we offer. Instruction had just some important cleanup. We had some statutory language that we needed to include, and we now have that up to date. And some of that work is already turning into work that we have in our course guidebook. Under students, as I mentioned before, we were able to consolidate a large number of policies. And under 8, we basically retained policies that we had, but included a couple to address some of the gaps that we had. So when we walk away from this, we can be comfortable knowing that we've got so much of this covered. And as new laws are passed, new case laws determined, as new best practices emerge, we can readily integrate that into the policy manual that we currently have. And I think it will save a lot of time. And that time, I think, is really important because we want to set our priorities now away from working on policy and moving it to procedures, guidebooks, course guidebooks, those sorts of things that really have meaning to our employees, our students, and our parents to improve communication and improve trust in the district because they have documents that they turn to on a regular basis that have real meaning to them, and maybe a little less of the policy type language. So I know that you've had less than a week to look at 296 policies. And want you to know that I'm not certainly not asking for a vote tonight, but I'll be available, and the committee will help me, I'm sure. If questions emerge regarding policies, I will ask for a little bit of time. On some of these, I've lost track of why we made some changes. I took good notes, but I have a whole committee of people that enabled us to get this done in 8 months, and I will certainly turn to them for their assistance. Any questions at the moment that I can address?
Thank you. Yes, of course.
Yeah, mine's just a comment too. This is a Herculean effort by you leading the charge and everybody else supporting you and board members. So well done.
Thank you. And again, I want to underscore, it was a team effort and you're being very kind to me and I always appreciate that. But as RJ indicated, when you're 3 hours in on a policy meeting, it's hard to stay focused. And the team really did a great job. And there were many times where I thought through my analysis that we were going to go in one direction, and through really good insights from buildings or for people in departments, we ended up going in a different direction. And I think that just shows the level of commitment that the team had when they went into this task. So thank you.
Just also thank you, like everybody, but also for pushing for doing this. It's not just simply doing it. It's like, I remember any of us who've been here for a while, we were doing one policy at a time, 2, 3, and then you came up with this idea of consolidation into something that was standard that could help us keep on track. So that's huge. And my question, as a parting gift from you to us, is can we work on something similar to like the facility plan, where if there are 300 policies, can we have some sort of rotation where we, every 5 years, we have a 5-year plan where we look at some policies? Maybe this exists already.
So the press updates, as you've been, as I've shared, there's approximately 8 attorneys, and then all the major law firms in the state work with those attorneys to interpret legislation as it's passed, and then come up with really they assess all the different policies that need to be tweaked, and what tweaks need to be made. Sometimes it is a word. And then they will publish, and it's nearly quarterly, a packet of all the updates that they think we should make. In my experience, then the committee can go through those really quickly. I foresee it as like, okay, this is an and, this is a semicolon, this is a no-brainer. Whoa, timeout, we have to talk about this other one because it's in more depth. And it really, you get a much faster turnaround. You're really doing a lot more policies, but you have kind of a context and an anchor that everything fits into.
Sorry, meeting, but as you mentioned, some of our policies are Glenbrook flavored that don't depend on external policy or changes in government. And Glenbrook flavor normally follow common practices. So we make policy as we make practice. As some of our practices change, sometimes you look back at something 5 years later, and it turns out we are not doing it exactly like the way we did it when we wrote the policy for it. So my aim is not at these 300 ones, but at the ones that parallel what we do in normal operations.
And you bring up, your point is really important, and I hope everyone kind of keeps this in the back of their minds. While we kept a large number of District 225 policies, in the future, I think we'll want to look at those as the updates come in and reevaluate. Do we want to stick with our own, or do we want to now adopt the new one as our practices have shifted, as we've become a more policy-driven district, as we understand the implications? I suspect we'll start to open those back up. I will have to say, for boards, for decades of boards in this district, they wrote really good policy. You know, there were some policies that we had gotten into a habit of making a little introduction for every policy recently, really kind of hearkening back 20, 30 years ago to some great well-written policies. It was hard to let some of those go, knowing the work that goes into them. But I think as new information comes to us, we get more comfortable with the press policy update process. We'll take another look at those 50-some and probably change down the road.
Just one point I'd like to add to that. In terms of the work that the committee did, one of the major pushes was to move things that are not truly policy out of the policy manual and move them into the procedure, because as you point out rightly, procedures change over time, practices change over time, but most of the time that should not be happening at a policy level. Policy is bigger and broader and more grounded than that. Procedure is the day-to-day work of making something work. And when Dr. Johns referred to the handbooks and guidebooks that are being adopted, those the administration can keep up with without the board being involved with the policy decision. The policies should be, I think, usually a little more, they should have a grander scope, I think, in a sense. And once we've decided what as a district we believe our policy is with respect to a particular issue, that really shouldn't be changing very much over time because it reflects who we are as a district and we don't change every 4 years. I know that there will be change. There will be times that we do have to, because there have been major shifts, have to look at policies again. But my hope is that, as Dr. John says, that, you know, this is groundwork for us not having to have the policy committee going over each little policies over and over again, because a lot of them now have been moved where they should be into procedure. And absolutely, we will. There are Glenbrook policies. We deliberately chose not to follow the press model, you know, because it did not reflect who we are as a district. It was more standardized to a general state approach, and we're the Glenbrooks. We do things our way sometimes. But those are very clear to us. And as we get the updates, you know, as Dr. Johns pointed out, that'll give us an opportunity again. Press will tell us this policy has been updated at our level. We can't tell you how to change it because your policy is not our policy, but they'll still have flagged it as one that's being pushed through the press system. So we will know that that's something that we need to reflect on again. So I do think the whole process will just save the administration and the board a lot of time going forward. And the efficiency gains will be terrific. The fact that these documents will be so much more accessible, understandable, will be terrific. And yeah, you know, as someone who's on the policy committee, I am very excited about having this new process. I think it'll work right. Really well. Well, it's never finished, right? It's never finished. Yes.
I have a comment and then a question. When this board in the future is faced with the challenges of the day, the difficult questions that we're often faced with, student discipline, areas of human resources, procurement, facilities, we will be very, very happy that our policies are streamlined, that they are more clear, that they are understandable, not just to the board, but to the externals, our communities, because we've often over the years run into this situation where you've got a policy and you've had 3, 4, 5 amendments because they've been reviewed and they still, for whatever reason, are unclear and they become a source of debate. And I found interesting in student discipline areas where you're sure you've got it. And then there's this special thing because you're trying to outline every occurrence or category or whatever, and you can't keep up with the world. So you do need to get up to this generalized place so that you can be more accommodative and we can be more efficient. My question is, what is the plan for the student handbook? Because it references policies in many cases. Thank you.
So that question actually came up in our cabinet meeting this morning around probably 9:30, 9:45 or so. Typically, we start having our handbook conversations right after spring break. We intentionally have delayed that until the policy manual gets redone. When we first adopted the Illinois Principals Association Model Student Handbook subscription, similar to press, just on the handbook side. We had a lot of cross-referencing because our policy manual did in match press. So now a topic that Robin will be helping me tomorrow with is she'll be going through the entire model student handbook and printing out the original copies of the handbook. Because at the bottom is where all the cross-references are to all the different policies. Then with our new policy manual, we'll look to see what needs to be updated, what new policies exist. We'll crosswalk that. And then Dr. Cummings actually sent out the appointment for our handbook gathering in May 6th. The goal is to get the handbook to the board for approval, final approval, no later than the meeting in June, because our parents need to have it for next year. So a little behind, but the handbook always comes to the board for approval. And we identify all the changes that were made, and that's our plan. We're just a little behind schedule, but for a good reason.
I just wanted to compliment everybody on all your work that you did, because many of the policies that were retained, while we say they're the Glenbrook way, it's where the Glenbrooks were sometimes at the forefront of issues and things such, and some of it was recently highlighted by our governor, actually, in some of the policies and stuff, and some of the finance ones. So kudos to everyone for all your work on differentiating us and keeping us a step ahead. And then I had a question, RJ, going back to the handbook and everything, is press still supporting the piloting of the handbook in there? Because that was another shortcut that we were envisioning.
Yes.
To help in this integration and make things very transparent.
So we have a goal. One day, when you're a staff member or a parent, you will go to one system, one website, and you'll be able to say, I want to learn about parking. And you will see the policy on traffic controls, as we call it. That's a Glenbrook special. And then you'll be able to see, oh, it's also in the handbook. And when you click there, you will see all the text for the handbook. We corresponded with IASB last week. They said they were speaking to their software provider this week to make that happen. So if you're not aware, bonus, kind of leading, apparently no one has ever asked to integrate their handbook and policies together, which I just find fascinating. And they thought we would be a great case study for that. So we're looking to lead the way in that, and I have a feeling that they will find a additional revenue stream that will be well adopted by many. But hopefully by the early fall, we would be in a good spot. But we will be the first on that with an amazing policy manual. Now we just got to write the procedure manual. Next year.
So I believe the goal is to have this come back on consent.
Yes.
But in this intervening 2 weeks, if anyone has a chance to really dig into some policies, has any issues, questions, concerns, please reach out to Dr. Johns, to myself, to Mr. O'Hara, any of the administrators that you think would have a particular view on the subject, because we really are going to try to bring this one home next week so that we can stay on track with getting the handbook updated, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you all, board members, for doing that. Yay. Next on the agenda, I've lost my agenda. Hang on just a second. The board calendar, another important and fascinating topic. We have a board calendar for May 26th through April 27th. Anything you wanted to highlight there, Dr. Gravel?
So we'll keep it relatively brief. In the memo that you'll see, there is a chart of the dates. Here are the highlights. First, we are only scheduled to have a single meeting in the months of June, July, and December. Okay. So we've been kind of trending in that way for quite some time for those lower months and just recognizing the holidays and things of that nature. But just want to highlight one meeting in June, one meeting in July, and one meeting in December. And that still puts us on a good pathway with respect to approving the budget and doing different kind of cyclical processes that we need to go through. Our meetings are all scheduled to take place in this room at the district office. Should that change, we would need to revise the agenda. Sometimes that can be referred to as a special meeting. And the other thing I wanted to highlight is I need board members' help. One of the items that is making this board eligible for recognition by the Illinois Association of School Boards for the first time for board governance is that we do an annual self-evaluation. And so last year we did it in August. In the memo, I provided 3 dates, and I am going to send you a poll at the end of this week. Just need to know which date works best for you. As a reminder, the self-evaluation typically takes place on a Saturday, and we're looking at a Saturday in September. Generally come together around 8:30, stay until about noon, and go through that process. Topics of excitement include a review of the communication norms that we established. Typically, we would dig through a lot of policies, but we kind of are in a good pathway there, but we'll talk about growth there, as well as expectations and goal setting, things of that nature. So that's the one takeaway that I need to get your feedback on before we come back on the 27th, so I can include that in the regular agenda. The other item I just wanted to remind you about is, I'll just do it now. Next meeting, the board will hold its annual organizational meeting. And at that time, you would also approve this meeting schedule. So it's all sequential. That's when the board goes through the process to elect officers, appoint Ms. Smith, if you so choose to do so, and Ms. Tarver. I know that they are more than excited for those roles, unless another individual is so interested in their roles respectively for secretary and treasurer. And then again, you adopt the meeting schedule. So that's it's kind of the summary. Happy to answer any questions you have. Yes, Mr. Down. Oh,
So-
sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Downing.
Thank you.
You've been recognized.
Thank
There you
you.
go.
So we set up the board meetings, and I know you try to work around holidays, but you did miss a recurring holiday, and that's Monday Night Football. I just want to get that on the record.
You know, it's a good thing that you're highlighting that for me. I appreciate that. Sometimes I need those reminders. I do believe that this board has in the past considered those types of topics.
We need a quorum, right? So if it's going to be an issue, just let us
Yes.
know.
It's going to be an issue.
Where we might, through our board governance training, where we might want to be cognizant is how we structure the topics for certain meetings. Perhaps we can be more efficient on some weeks as opposed to others.
I'm laying the groundwork for maybe later.
There we go. It's
That's fair.
Tuesday meetings. For all we know, someday there might be Tuesday meetings.
Or
Okay.
more meetings with only one meeting a month, should that be the interest of the board, that
One-
is
One
an
marathon
adopt
meeting a month.
of many boards, and we certainly could talk about that.
That's true. Nothing is set in stone. Okay, well, unless anyone had other comments about the proposed board meeting schedule, that takes us to the next subject on our agenda, which is topics for future board meetings.
I just gave one.
Yeah, perhaps changing the board meeting schedule. We could dig into that. Did any other board member have anything that they'd like to suggest as a future topic? Well, you can always let me know or let Dr. Gravel know if something comes to mind, and we'll be sure to get that on the agenda. Let's see. I believe we do have closed session tonight.
But there will
Yes.
be no
There
action
will be
coming
no
out.
action coming out of closed session. Okay. This evening, the Board of Education will enter into closed session to discuss sensitive matters as allowed under the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Please note that no action will be taken following the closed session this evening. At this time, I will entertain a motion to consider the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity, and collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees in accordance with sections 2C1 and 2 of the Open Meeting Act.
So moved.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
All right, so we will